This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're on the road in Stockholm, Sweden, where we're covering the 40th anniversary of the Right Livelihood Awards, widely known as the alternative Nobel Prize. This year's award recipients include 16-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, whose school strike for climate started right here in Stockholm, where she began standing outside the Parliament building every school day to demand bold climate action more than a year ago, when she was 15. Her act of resistance soon became a global movement, with millions of youth around the world leaving school and taking to the streets to demand swift action to halt the climate crisis. Greta Thunberg is not here in Stockholm for the award ceremony. In fact, she just arrived in Lisbon, Portugal today, after a nearly 3-week-long journey by boat across the Atlantic Ocean to participate in the 2019 United Nations Climate Change Conference. That's COP25 in Madrid, Spain. She was on her way to Santiago, Chile, where the climate talks were supposed to be held when Chilean President Sebastián Piñera canceled the conference amidst mass anti-government protest. It was then rescheduled to Madrid, causing Greta to reverse course and head back to Europe. Greta and her father, Svante, sailed aboard the 48-foot catamaran La Vagabonde, refusing to fly because of the high carbon footprint of air travel. In September, I sat down with Greta Thunberg in our Democracy Now! Studio in New York. She explained how she launched the school strike for the climate last year.
The more involved I got in the climate movement, the better I feel, the happier I feel, because I feel like I'm doing something important, something meaningful.
So talk about what happened, what you did about, just about a year ago now. You were 15 years old. You went in front of the Swedish Parliament every single day at the beginning?
Yeah. Every school day, not Saturday and Sunday, but every school day for 3 weeks until the upcoming election. And then that was my plan to stop after the election. But then on the Friday, September 7th, that's when Fridays for Future started, because then I thought, why not continue? Why stop now when we are actually having an impact? So then I and some other school strikers thought that we should go on, and we should call it Fridays for Future, and we should be on Fridays.
That's 16-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg speaking earlier this year in Democracy Now! Studios in New York. Right now, we're in Stockholm, where she began her activism. The Right Livelihood Award ceremony is taking place here on Wednesday. In a statement, Greta said, quote, "I'm deeply grateful for being one of the recipients of this great honor, but of course, whenever I receive an award, it's not me who's the winner. The Right Livelihood Award is a huge recognition for Fridays for Future and the climate strike movement." So we're joined right now in Stockholm by Ell Jarl, a climate activist who's marched with Greta Thunberg here in Stockholm. She's an 18-year-old high school student who began participating in the climate protests last December. Along with other youth climate activists, Ell will accept the Right Livelihood Award on Greta's behalf. She is an activist here with Fridays for Future Sweden. Ell, it's great to be with you here on this first day of our broadcast in Stockholm, for you to be our first guest to place us in the place where you and Greta have really helped to lead this movement that has gone global. Why did you get involved last December?
I got involved because I read up a lot about the climate crisis, and it was such a big problem, and I wanted to do something, and I wanted to help make a change in the world. And then I saw that she was striking, or my father showed me, and I was like, that's something I can do. And it seemed to be making a change, and people were talking about it. Then I went and I stuck around.
So I should say, as we're speaking here, Your pal Greta is in Lisbon. She's just made landfall, and she is about to actually speak. Others are speaking first at the news conference, and if she does begin to speak as we're doing this segment, we'll go directly live to her. Your father's a scientist?
Yes, he is. So I've always grown up with lots of scientific talking around the house, and it's made me really curious to learn more.
What do you think of our president, President Trump in the United States, saying climate change is a hoax?
Well, yeah, listen to the United Science. It's out there, and it's their responsibility to read up and educate themselves, all leaders of the world.
So that's what you were telling Swedish parliamentarians when you joined Greta on the steps of the Swedish parliament. How did the MPs, how did the members of parliament respond to you? How many were you in, last December?
When I first joined, there were about 30 people there that day. Well, most of them don't say much. They ignore us, or quite a few of them just walk by the strike. Others, yeah.
And what has it meant to you that this has gone global, that so many young people are going out on Fridays, leaving school, and demanding change?
It's fantastic. I mean, I joined just before the movement fully exploded. So I really saw the change, and it's spreading to more and more places around the world. And it's something that my generation needs. We need to say enough and force action to a fair future. And we are doing that now.
So you've been outside the parliament week after week, but then were you invited inside to address the parliament?
No, we haven't been.
Ever?
No.
So what is it like for you to see Greta addressing the European Union, addressing the United Nations?
It's really powerful that we are just teenagers, but we managed to speak to all these people, world leaders, and hopefully make them listen and make them change. And I hope that COP25 will manage to do something important.
I want to turn right now to the opening of the UN Climate Summit in Madrid. Will you be going there, by the way, to the summit?
I sadly will not be going.
This is Antonio Guterres, who is the UN Secretary General.
What is still lacking is political will. Political will to put a price on carbon. Political will to stop subsidies on fossil fuels. Political will to stop building coal power plants from 2020 onwards. Political will to shift taxation from income to carbon, taxing pollution instead of people. We simply have to stop digging and drilling and take advantage of the vast possibilities offered by renewable energy and nature-based solutions.
That's Antonio Guterres speaking in Madrid, Spain, at the beginning of the UN Climate Summit. What message do you have for world leaders?
Listen to what the science is saying. We need to drastically reduce our carbon footprint and take care of our environment. It's your responsibility to do that and not put it on us. We can't wait any longer.
And what will you be saying at the Right Livelihood Awards ceremony tomorrow on Wednesday?
Well, we are very grateful for this, but we need politicians to take action, and we will keep fighting. And yeah, that's what we will say.
You helped write an article, an op-ed piece?
Yeah, together with the Right Livelihood and Fridays for Future Sweden, we wrote a debate article about Sweden and the politics we are having now.
Mm-hmm. And what did you say in it?
That we are really far away in Sweden from the goals or where we need to be to reach the Paris Agreement
And what are you demanding specifically should happen in Sweden?
We need to reduce all of our carbon emissions, and we need to create a fair change and help everyone change their jobs to more environmentally friendly.
I wanted to turn right now back to Greta Thunberg in the New York studios, and when I asked her about her message for young people.
The message to the young people of the world is that right now we are facing an existential crisis. The climate and ecological crisis, and it will have a massive impact on our lives in the future, but also now, especially in vulnerable communities. And I think that we should wake up, and we should also try to wake the adults up, because they are the ones who, their generation is the ones who are mostly responsible for this crisis, and we need to hold them accountable. We need to hold the people in power accountable for what they have been doing to us and future generations and other living species on Earth. And we need to get angry and understand what is at stake, and then we need to transform that anger into action and to stand together united and just never give up.
So that's Greta Thunberg in our New York studio. When she first arrived in New York, when she first took a zero-emissions sailboat across the Atlantic to New York. I want to turn right now to Portugal, to Lisbon, Portugal, where a young climate activist is speaking before Greta addresses the crowd, where she's also just landed.
My name is Beatriz.
My name is Matilde.
We are here in representation of Fridays for Future in Portugal, Greve Climática Estudantil. First of all, we'd like to give a warm welcome to Greta and her crew, and we hope you enjoy Lisbon and your Cabo Verde.
I'm here to present Greve Climática Estudantil, and we are a youth movement that fights for climate justice. We fight for climate justice because our house is on fire. And because our house is on fire, we've organized and striked for the climate together with thousands of students many times this year. Our demands are simple. In Portugal, we need to reach carbon neutrality by 2030. We need to keep fossil fuels, including gas, on the ground. We need to provide clean energy for all. And we need to cancel new airport projects, Montijo included. Because we need a system change, not a climate change. We are still far from winning. We know that change disturbs the ones in power. They tell us our country's ambitions in climate policies, but we know it isn't. They tell us they are doing what they can, but we know they're not. But we also know that this is the struggle of our generation, and we will not give up. We all have raised like a wave to demand climate justice for all. And we need everyone to join us. If we lose, everybody loses. Now we are, like Greta, heading to COP25 in Madrid. We'll meet with thousands of other climate activists from many countries, including the Global South. There, we'll be protesting once again against the priority given to profit over our lives. The seas are rising, and so are we. Greta, thank you for having inspired the youth. Thank you for being radical in your speech. Thank you for showing politicians and corporations that will no more accept the climate chaos they've provoked. Greta, don't stop. Because together we are going to change the system and demand climate justice for all. We are the ones we have been waiting for, and we will put out the fire in our house. Thank you and welcome.
Now we have a brief remark, because social justice is climate justice. We have a brief remark from Abel Rodrigues from Amazonia.
Thank you, everyone. Hello, Greta. Welcome to Lisbon. Hello, everybody. So my name is Abel Rodrigues. I'm from Amazon rainforest. And basically, I want to say that the world needs to know that the Amazon rainforest is being killed by corporations, by injustice corporations. And I have to say to the world that the people from Amazon rainforest are being killed every day, and the world needs to know this. I want to say very thankful to Greta to be the biggest and most active voice in this battle. And I want to ask for all of you, we need to save Amazon rainforest, please. Please. Thank you, everyone.
You've been listening to the news conference that's being held as Greta Thunberg has made her way to Lisbon, Portugal. We're going now to return to that news conference which Greta will be addressing.
So I'd just like to say a few comments about the trip. It's not really recommended to cross the North Atlantic this time of year.
Whether it's sailing across an Atlantic, looking after your child, travelling around America, researching, however you want to do it, I hope that by working together, we can do it in a much easier and better way.
Thank you. Now, Greta Thunberg.
Well, first of all, thank you everyone so much for coming here and for welcoming us. That feels very good, doesn't it, to be welcomed in such a way. So thank you so much, and of course, thank you to Elena, Riley, Lenny, and Vicky for making this possible. And I owe you so much. And just thank you, and thank you everyone else who has been helping us for making this possible. And I'm so grateful for having done this trip and for having this experience. And I am so honored to be here in beautiful Lisbon and Portugal. And thank you so much for having us here. And also, after a trip like this, for being isolated 3 weeks, for being in such a limited space with such limited things to do, you get very relaxed in a way. You are disconnected from everything and everyone, basically. And for coming into land, it is so overwhelming. So I think all of us are still a bit overwhelmed. So you will have to bear with us. And especially having all these people greeting you. It feels amazing, but our brains are not used to it yet. And it feels so amazing to be home back in Europe. I have been on quite an adventure, and we've all been on quite an adventure. And it feels good to be back, and of course I, as well as the other climate activists, we will not stop. We will continue to do whatever we can. Continue to travel around and to put pressure on people in power, and to make sure that they prioritize this highest, and then we eventually we will be going to COP25 in Madrid, and we will continue the fight there to make sure that within those walls
the voices of the people are being heard, and that the voices of the future generations are being heard, and that the voices from the people, especially from the global south, are being heard. And I don't have much to say, just that we are facing a global emergency, and we need to see it from a holistic point of view, and we need to do everything we can. We need to work together to make sure that we secure future living conditions for humankind, and that we fight for not only ourselves, but for our children and for our grandchildren and for every single living being on Earth. And everyone has to do everything they can in order to make sure they are on the right side of history. Because in order to change everything, we need everyone. And I hope every one of you will get active and start fighting for your future as well. And once again, thank you to these people, to Riley, Lenny, Elena, and Nikki for doing this. This trip has been great. Actually, I think we needed some relaxing time, all of us, especially me, some time to sort of think everything through and to relax. And now I feel good. I feel like I want to continue now. I feel energized, and
That's Greta Thunberg speaking from Lisbon, Portugal, where she has just made landfall after a 3-week catamaran journey with her dad and another family aboard La Vagabonde. This is live television, and we're broadcasting from Stockholm, Sweden, where Greta began her climate strike. We're on television, we're on radio, we're on the internet at democracynow.org. And I welcome you and your friends and family to join us on this journey as we are here in Stockholm, Sweden, where Greta began her climate strike more than a year ago. She will be winning the Right Livelihood Award tomorrow here in Stockholm, but instead of her being here, other of her sister and fellow students will be receiving the award. We want to thank Ell Jarl, who is a school striker, part of Fridays for Future Sweden, who will be receiving that award here in Sweden, while Greta makes her way to Madrid for the UN Climate Summit. When we come back, today is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. We'll speak with the Ethiopian disability rights lawyer Yetnebersh Nugusi, who received the Right Livelihood Award in 2017. She's been blind since the age of 5. Stay with us.